Thank you very much, Natalka, for joining us today. We're really excited to have you. We're really excited to be interviewing people with alternative legal careers and scanning through the McGill alumni work. We're really excited to see that, your profile popped up. You're doing interesting things. You're right down the street, so great. Not only that, but you seem to have been affiliated with McGill over the last little bit and have strong ties here, and we look forward to hearing about that too. So yes, because McGill is, as you know, a little bit tight on space, we've been able to secure 609, Gloria's 609, and we've tried to, turn it into tea time for you today.
This is wonderful. This is quite a spread.
Thank you.
I'm the Director of Development at the Pierre, Elliott, Trudeau Foundation. So I'm implementing a fundraising program for them. It's very interesting work. You're working with donors. You're working, it's everything from increasing the foundation's visibility to, engaging people with the foundation, to showing them what the impact is of the work. And, well, for me, it came down to getting really straight on what you valued and, sort of thinking, okay, what do I want my life to look like? And you can't be everything to everyone. You can't be perfect, right? So if you focus on the stuff that you enjoy and that you're naturally good at, I think it's going to serve you well. And I mean, in a way, that's why I went into the line of work I did after practicing in private practice for a few years, because I realized, okay, this is actually where my strengths lie, and I have fun. I had fun with it as a volunteer. I'm having fun working in philanthropy as a professional as well. I think you get to do a lot of good, and work I did in undergrad around, for example, refugee resettlement, helps inform some of the work I'm doing at the foundation now. So it's, life is long, and I think when I was a student, I had a bad habit of taking everything a little too seriously.
Do you feel like you've broken that habit now? Do you feel like
it's always a project? It's always a project I'm working on. But, I remember there was a moment, I think it was my first year of practice, where someone had to say to me, "Look, Nat, people have stuff going on in their lives all the time, right? It's not, your work is important, and do the best you can, but people might be divorcing, people might be having health issues, like real life is messy, right? And so don't expect that your life is going to be perfect, right? And it's true, and you can still do very well and not be perfect, right? And it's hard because I want it to be, but that's not what it's about,
Yeah.
So
what was the moment? Did you have a moment, or was it more of a transition for you that you were doing volunteer work on the side while you were practicing, and then you saw that become more of a full-time gig?
Yeah, as I said, I worked with a good firm. I had good colleagues. The work I did was interesting, it was challenging, but okay, this is going to sound funny, but I came back from a trip from Mongolia. On my 30th birthday, I'd taken myself to Mongolia.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I'd been riding a horse and all that. And then I turned my BlackBerry back on when I landed. I think I was somewhere on the flight back home. And all these, obviously I'd been on holiday, and I've been out of reach for almost 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Which I think was why I sort of went on that trip to Mongolia, because there was no satellite signal, most of it. But to be fair, I sort of looked at it and I was I looked at my inbox and I was I'm going back to all that, and I'm not sure that's how I want to spend the next 30 years.
No.
And it took time to sort of say, okay, what's going to be next? And you do have to. I think it took a few months before I was ready to resign and ready to make the jump. Yeah. It's not easy.
Embrace the unknown, kind of.
Well, it's just we all have to operate in ambiguity, right? And especially if you're doing something new, if you're doing something entrepreneurial, it's all uncertain, right? You don't know where the next check's coming from. You just don't know. I think what it came down to for me was meeting people who were. I met at one point, I was working with the Royal Ontario Museum as a volunteer. I met with their director, who was running their foundation as well, and I was oh, these are strong women with interesting careers. One of them was a lawyer too, and I was okay, I can see myself. You see the paths open up. You see what's possible, right? And that wasn't immediately clear to me coming straight out of law school, but I sort of had a feeling that I would, practice for a few years, get that training. And to be fair, that training, I did employment litigation for 2 or 3 years. I clerked. That was crucial, right? Because I don't think I would be able to do, well, I'm sure I could, but I don't think I'd come into it with the same way of thinking or the same experience without sweating it out for a few years. But you do need to get clear on what really matters to you and put your effort there and focus there and not be afraid to ask for help, right? Because I know that I had to ask tons of people for help and advice, and gosh, when I was doing the career change, I think I was meeting with people 3 or 4 times a week, just having coffee and just saying, okay, how do I do what you do, Learning how to interact with clients, whether on the phone or in person or by email, that's crucial, right? Because at the end of the day, you kind of, being a decent person, it's going to take you far in your career. I truly believe that, Your reputation does matter, and people do talk, and being someone who's easy to work with and a team player, that's important, right?